All right, welcome to round one. Let's go ahead and get started. We did win the die roll, so we are on the play. I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. We do have no discard spell, but we have a bauble to control this draw step. We have a threat. We have maybe a removal spell, depending on what our opponent might have access to. So we're going to lead on bauble and target ourselves here. See an Inquisition on top. Not only do I want that, but I want that right now. So we're going to cycle the Street Wraith before fetching. Fetch for a Blood Crypt here. And cast that Inquisition. So our opponent appears to be on a Humans deck here. A Company Humans deck. Perhaps just green-white. They have Path, Bird, Champion, Trekker, Eternal Witness. So my Tarfire cleans up whatever one drop they opt for pretty well. It seems like they are likely going to get to this Eternal Witness, so I think I probably need to take that. The other lines, of course, would be to, say, take Path, then kill the bird, and then try to lead on this Tarmogoyf, ride the Tarmogoyf to victory. I don't hate that, especially because even if they do find a way to return this path, I can produce another threat. I think I'm actually going to do that and just hope that these things are too clunky. Not taking the Eternal Witness is a little weird. I guess next turn I'm just going to be Tarfiring and then maybe traversing as well if they're playing Bird of Paradise. Even still, I think I'm going to take this and just try to have bigger and better threats. Things like Trekker and Eternal Witness, though, do help my opponent grind. Battle Rage is likely to be good in a matchup where my opponent may have a lot of extra blockers. Alright, so opponent opts to fetch for a Temple Garden and play Bird of Paradise. Fatal Push. So we could allow them to have 3 mana next turn, not worry about the bird, kill something like Tireless Trekker. But that probably just allows them to get Eternal Witness for Path, especially if I'm just slamming the Goyf on the table. They won't be able to Path that turn. So I will get to attack once with the Goyf kind of for free. And then perhaps kill my opponent's Witness and Bird if I wished. I do kind of like that. I'm probably going to have to get through the Path eventually. But not killing the bird on turn 1 seems kind of like a mistake. If I do kill the bird on turn 1, I can also traverse for a Shadow or another Goyf. I think we'll go for that. So let's go ahead and Tarfire this. It's possible that Fatal Push is actually worse here, but just because my opponent has 2 3s in their hand, Tarfire kills those 3s pretty well. I think I'm just going to grab another Goyf here. Could also have a Street Wraith, which is kind of crazy. I don't think I'm going to do that. If I draw another land next turn, I could go Goyf plus Shadow, which is really nice. But I'm not guaranteed to be able to do that. And if I don't draw land, then I will just have a tiny Shadow instead of a 6/7 Goyf. So I'm going to take the Goyf. I'm not convinced that the route I have taken in this game is correct. I think there was another really kind of much more proactive, aggressive line. But we'll see. Opponent has drawn another bird here. So kind of regretting our decision not to get a Death Shadow now, although still a 1/1 doesn't make that much difference. Drawing an Inquisition means I can kill this, try to keep them off 3, and take one of their 3s. Again, I'm still not getting anything in play and getting my beatdown on. I could just play Tarmogoyf, hope my opponent does not draw land, then they play Eternal Witness, return Path, and then don't have the land to cast it, and then the following turn I can Inquisition that Path. But if they do draw land, they will likely just get to Path it. I think I'm actually going to take the gamble this time. I'm going to take the gamble that they don't draw land because I think it just puts me so dramatically far ahead. If they don't, and I don't think I can just continue to not play a threat every turn. I'm just letting my opponent kind of catch back up, so to speak. So I think it's important to get this in play here. So they do play the Eternal Witness. I imagine they return the Path. No, they're returning the Wooded Foothills. Okay. I think that's fine with me. I certainly get the idea behind that. think I'm going to lead, well, Going to attack. If my opponent has a path, they would use it. They would use it before damage. It's unlikely that this Inquisition is going to grow my Goyf. It was possible that I just wanted to play another Goyf. In fact, I still might just want to play another Goyf rather than Inquisition and Fatal Push. I don't really care since I have this Battle Rage. Yeah, I think it's just more important just to go Goyf again. If I don't have to worry about a removal spell. Might as well just play another 6/7 when I have a Battle Rage. Set up for the kill next turn. Alright, it appears they've drawn a company. If they just say go here. Okay. So we're still going to go for it. Hopefully no, like, Reflector Mages. But we'll see what they get here. Thalia, Thraben Inspector. So opponent is pretty much dead here. They have to put, even if they put everything in front, they would still die. I believe, right? 2, 4, 5. That would be 18. So yeah, they would still die. All right. So as for sideboarding here, for a green-white humans deck, I do want to bring in Brutality. I really like Brutality against these Collected Company decks. It's unlikely my opponent also has Chord, so it's a little worse. But they do also have Path, so it's convenient that I get to check for those cards that I want to deal with and kill a creature. So I'll pretty happily put that in. On top of that, my opponent does have Eternal Witness, but I think they don't really have any other graveyard synergies. So I'm not really willing to put in Surgical, but I could consider Spell Bomb if I wanted a kind of, you know, hedge against stuff like that. Spell Bomb obviously doesn't hurt me as much since I still get to cycle it for a card. I definitely want to bring in this Fatal Push. And other than that, I'm not like enthused about the rest of these. If I felt like I really needed a chump block, you know, there could be something to be said about this Lingering Souls. Depending on how many Ewits my opponent has, and if they truly are just green-white, they might even have something like Rest in Peace in their board. A lot of these humans decks have, so that makes this a little worse. It makes it even more important for me to leave something like my own Abrupt Decay and all my discard. I think I'm definitely bringing in these, though, as I said. So let's see what we don't want here. I think Liliana is particularly bad here. Last Hopes can be very good. I like K Commands, Battle Rages. It's possible that Terminate is just a clunkier version of all my other removal spells. Although I do like having a lot of removal spells in this matchup. I don't know what else I would really, let's do this first here. I don't know what else I would really want to cut, though. Everything else is just kind of more efficient than this Terminate, and the Decay is kind of a good hedge against something like Rest in Peace as well. So we'll go ahead and cut that. As for the last card, it gets a little more difficult for me here. I want to cut something a little more inefficient. I could cut a Liliana, the Last Hope. Like I said, they are going to have something like Rest in Peace, which makes the -2 a little less powerful, but still kills a lot of things in Tick Up. My opponent has a lot of X1s, and it's kind of a threat in its own, just going to Ultimate. Not relevant what my graveyard size is at that point. So maybe I don't get to have both these Brutalities, although honestly I even like that better than the Abrupt Decay, even though it's a hedge against Rest in Peace. Could shave a Street Wraith, but I really don't like that. I guess I could shave a land here. I'm not bringing any white spells. I've cut a 3-drop, and I've kind of slimmed down, so I'll cut the Godless Shrine here. All right. This hand is fine on the draw especially. We get a couple redraws before we've potentially missed our turn 2 land drop, although our opponent's likely going to play something we want to kill on turn 1. That is kind of fortunate for us. It's not necessarily something we have to kill on turn 1. So let's check to see if this is a land up here. It's another Mishra's Bauble. I think I'm gonna shuffle that one away. That of course does require me to decide on what land I want right now, which is a little bit annoying, but not a lot. I guess we even just want to do this now rather than wait. My opponent's not going to do anything to look at my hand. So they're drawing a collected company. I have a bauble on top. Let's fetch away my own bauble for, I believe, a Blood Crypt. I could draw Traverse, though. The advantage of Blood Crypt is that I could draw Tarfire, but there are more Traverses in my deck than Tarfires, so I guess Overgrown Tomb it is. We will shock and then pass. Draw from the first bauble we drew Traverse, and draw from the second bauble. So it'd be really nice not to have to get the basic swamp with this Traverse. Okay, I'm going to cast this now. Don't want to just fall behind on tempo here. This interaction is kind of nice for me here. Putting my opponent's collected company farther in the future is good for me. This was definitely not good for my one lander, though. And we did not hit. I did hit a fourth type, so if and when I get to Traverse, I will be able to get whatever I want. But this Thalia is going to be huge issue in the meantime. Okay, so we found a land. So opponent's on 3 mana. That means they can have 4 next turn, but that won't be enough to company, so I don't feel in a huge rush to Thoughtseize, although I could spend all my mana Thoughtseizing this turn to set up for a Death Shadow next turn, even Traverse for a land into Death Shadow, which I kind of like. That way I check for path. I think I'm going to do that. Although I do think it's kind of close, and I'm going to take a lot of damage this way, but I don't really mind. Okay, so they have 2 paths and an Eternal Witness. So that's not great for me. I'm going to have to try and kill all of their things, which means I'm going to have to try and get a 3rd land for Brutality to both kill, say, Thalia and take company, and just not worry about these for a while. So I'm going to take the Eternal Witness here. The good news about the paths is it will help me get out of this Thalia predicament. Opponent drew a 4th land. So if we draw a 3rd, I will Brutality. Okay, so I can shock here. I could 3-mode if I was really worried about the shock, but I still think we're just going to 2-mode it. So we will kill my opponent's Thalia, look at their hand. And I'm going to do so discarding this Kolagon's Command. I don't know, that can kill another thing, and I don't really have another removal spell. Battle Rage is going to help end this game much more quickly. Perhaps it's this Traverse I don't really need, although I think I need all of my threats, considering I have to work through multiple paths. Maybe that means the game is so long that I'm going to have to end up discarding this Battle Rage anyway, although I think I'm really going to need it. I already have Sorcery, Land, Creature, Artifact. I didn't mention... No, I have Instant as well. So none of these will be new types either. I think it's going to have to be the Battle Rage. That's a close call, though. Take that company. And my opponent has 2 paths. Okay, they found a Rest in Peace. So now I'm going to be leaning heavily on Shadow. This Traverse just got quite bad. Thoughtseize, while hurting me a lot, puts me closer to... puts me closer to actually hitting with this shadow, especially because this Tarmogoyf is not going to demand a path anymore. It's possible I Kolaghan's Command my opponent now. Instead, see what they draw. That way they can't even cast Collect Company if they draw it. At that point, I can Thoughtseize, play Shadow. I think that's probably my best bet. Although, I guess if I'm planning on doing all that, I'm planning on not getting Path, which means I might as well Traverse first for the basic. So we'll go ahead and grab the basic Swamp, and then Kolaghan's Command. If my opponent draws like a Tireless Trekker or something of the sort, that'd be kind of a bummer, but you discard, and we're going to kill this. I guess the worst thing would be something like a Flyer, a Selfless Spirit, or something of the sort. At least a ground creature I can block. Okay. That's not the end of the world for us, especially not after drawing Push. So we're going to Thoughtseize that away, as we planned. Play this, and I think I'm just going to play this rather than push that right away. So now our opponent has, whoops, that's not what we want. It has one mystery card, it's a Bird of Paradise. So do I give my opponent no chump blocks and say they have to draw something right now? Or do I take a conservative line? I guess I'm just going to do this, especially because that stops them from casting Collected Company, which is one of their ways to get out of this hole. Now they're on basically Path or Bust, and they've already been through 2. Whoops. I can even attack with this next turn to play around Blessed Alliance. Okay, well, they found the third path. That was the nightmare scenario, so... Alright, we found Decay. That's the best case scenario. That was very fortunate for us. At least we get to start getting in there with Goyf. Alright, back to worst case. Alright, now we're just dead. I mean, I guess I can cast this. Man, imagine if we drew Tarfire. That'd be spicy. I guess we wouldn't get to quite kill our opponent, but I guess we cast this to at least have this be a trade. If my opponent whiffs on land, hopefully they draw like another bird. They can't even draw Noble Hierarch though. So this is still looking pretty bad for us, but I think I have to cast this since I'm forced to chump block here. It's possible that I was supposed to not Abrupt Decay. Oh no, another Tireless Trekker. Well, I guess we're still not dead. Pretty close though. Dead to a land again. It's possible I was supposed to not Abrupt Decay the Rest in Peace and just wait. Just in case my opponent drew a threat such as Tireless Trekker the following turn, but alright, we're dead to that. Well, that was unfortunate. We took a pretty aggressive line, basically putting our opponent on Path or Bust, and they had Path, which will happen. But I still think it was the correct line to take there, considering we've already seen 2 of the paths. So it's not very likely that they draw Path there. It's possible also if I had discarded differently earlier in that game, although I used the Kolaghan's Command to put my opponent on no paths, so perhaps we still also discarded the right thing off Collective Brutality. I'm sure there are other things we could have done differently that game as well. I could have done differently. This hand's pretty land heavy, but discard spell on the Tarmogoyf is hard to ship. It's frustrating, I think, that I don't have any removal here. Maybe frustrating isn't the right word, but is discouraging as far as when we're considering to keep this hand, that I do not have a removal spell. Let's grab a Blood Crypt, I guess. Get rid of one of these ugly Inquisitions so that they can at least match in the future. Opponent has Path, which I feel like I kind of need to take. The issue is I feel like I also need to take this Pilgrim, since that ramps them into this company. I guess that means I'm just going to be a turn late on casting Tarmogoyf, since I don't have a removal spell for this Pilgrim. So we'll take Pilgrim. Then next turn, we'll take Path. And then the turn following, we'll get to Goyf finally. Which may be too slow depending on our draws. If we just draw a bunch of lands, we will very likely die. Traverse, not very good here. Since we just only have sorcery land. Opponent drew another Path, which is pretty good here. So we're in some trouble already. Drew a Pilgrim. Okay, so basically neither of our discard spells mattered. We're in back to their opener, so we have an issue here. I definitely want to fetch before my draw step to thin a little bit. There is some question about how much I want to hurt myself. I do not have Death Shadow, so I think we're going to take it easy a little bit since our opponent is kind of on a beatdown deck here. I probably should have played Delta that turn. Bloodstained Mire. Okay, so this is just all kinds of bad. It's 2 mana efficient for my opponent to get to Path here, so I can't really cast Tarmogoyf this turn, especially because I could also draw a discard spell. If it was a removal spell that was going to put Tarmogoyf in the bin, I would be more likely to do that, considering it would turn on my Traverse, but since it's a Path, it's particularly poor for me to do that here. This following turn, I can consider playing Tarmogoyf. Mostly because they can't both Company and Path. So it will at least be mildly annoying for my opponent's mana, especially if I draw another threat. Liliana. Well, that's tough because it's certainly very good. I wish we had that last turn, but to kill that Pilgrim. But my opponent is pretty likely to be able to company their way out of the scenario. In fact, they could even company into a way to buff the Pilgrim if they hit Thalia's Lieutenant. I still think I need to do this. Even if my opponent kills this, puts me closer to being able to traverse. I could like Blind Minus. That seems particularly poor. Perhaps I have to hope that their company is bad, in fact. If they have a really good company, I'm probably not winning this game. But I'm not particularly surprised. We had a little bit of a land-heavy hand and drew another couple. Or just one, in fact. But our opponent finding that additional path was very bad. As well as this Pilgrim was actually pretty outstanding. Ewit. Thalia. Okay. Yeah, that's not very good. So my opponent's going to be able to... I mean, it wasn't super powerful, but it was very, very valuable. Getting that company back, I think we're incredibly unlikely to win this game at this point, with my opponent having path, company, and just being dramatically ahead on board as is. If they don't have a fourth land, it's possible, like, discard spell into Goyf. I guess even if they do. All right, well, that's not good either. Now the Goyf will be coming down tapped. Drew another land here, so still don't have Delirium. And this Tarmogoyf's just going to get pathed, and now I have the basic, so Path just exiles it without even giving me that. Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble here. I think I have to cast this but I don't think it's really doing anything for me. We'll play this tapped Verdant. Not only can it not block, but my opponent has the path even if it could. I don't think we can mulligan Inquisition Tarmogoyf, but perhaps we should have. Oh, they drew Thalia's Lieutenant. That's just game. Yep, exactly. I think no, by one more. All right. Well, I will see you all in round number 2.